Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Shanghai, back for another Eurovision reaction video. Tonight I'm going to be reacting to the results of semi-final number 2 of Melodi Grand Prix, that's Norway's national final. I'm going to discuss the results, the winner, and the automatic qualifier who performed during the show. So, let's kiki. As always, you can use your progress bar if you want to skip to one of the reactions. Actually, I might not do that because it's going to be a pretty short video, so you probably don't need to skip. As always, MGP, I think this is probably going to become my favorite national final. I'm getting that feeling in my gut that I'm just really enjoying it this year, and this feels like a third or fourth year now, but it's felt really good. Another great show. We start off with Löwe. I have to admit, this is a little bit disappointing. So, the stage, first of all, the stage looked empty. I don't know if they had to socially distance, but it looked like they were socially distancing. And it looked like we had these older rock dudes who had just kind of picked a random chick. I got that vibe that they weren't normally together, weren't normally a band. It had that feel a little bit like Hooverphonic. Although Hooverphonics with Lukas, they actually did mesh very well, but it had that vibe of like older dudes who picked a younger chick. But yeah, they just didn't have that chemistry. It just seemed off. I don't know if she was acting. It didn't feel like she was a rock chick. And I mentioned in my actual original reaction to the song that I wanted to get like real down and dirty and grungy and just like rocking out and totally feeling it. And she wasn't like that at all. She was quite timid and intimidated, and it just felt a little bit awkward. Her voice sounded fine, but I just don't really think she is a rock chick. I think she was pretending to be one, or maybe she was nervous, or maybe that was just the type of performance that they asked from her. But overall, the whole thing just felt just too flat. And actually the song is quite good, but it was so awkward. I was actually distracted by how awkward it was, and I was like rooting for her in my head, but I just don't think it was the right song for her. There was one bit where they had like a flaming heart and they showed her in front of it and it looked like she was taking a nap. It was really like, that kind of sums up the whole vibe. I think that was the time when you would have had someone who like rocking down in front of the heart or something. Instead, you had this like girl who'd fallen asleep. Well, she was in a duel against Steffen. Steffen was singing a country song, a Norwegian dude singing country music. Why not? Look, honestly, the performance was a bit dull. I really liked his bassy vocal. He had this real deep bassy vocal that I found very pleasant. I think the song is really nice. Actually, I don't usually like country music, but I think it's a very decent, pleasant song. The staging was very dull. Again, I feel like they had to socially distance or something like that. But then on top of it, in the background, they just had like, it almost looked like a little bit Shutterstocky stock photos of like American stuff like Motel Diner. That was it. There was nothing else. The start was actually a little bit promising because of these kind of like close-ups with these kind of desert wasteland visuals with some like tricks with light, and then it panned out and then it was just dull standing there doing nothing. So he did win that duel, but I think that was largely down to the fact that Lily's staging was unfortunately a little bit floppy. That was the first duel which Steffen won. The second duel was between Farida and Daniel Lukas, I believe his name is. Okay, first up, Farida. Now, it is interesting to me that this is, of all of the people so far, the first postcard that I sat through. I can only put that down to the fact I'm just curious about her. I'm curious to know like where's she from, what's her background, what's this thing with her white hair. So it's interesting to me that she alone evokes some sort of interest. I don't know why. All the other people, I just skipped their postcard because MGP has all the lines and it tells you can skip straight to the song. I sat through her postcard even though I didn't really understand what it was saying. So that's I don't know why that happened, but I was interested in her. The performance, very good vocally. That was the main concern, was could she perform locally? Yes, she can. First of all, when I get forward, I'm very positive about this song. I think it's really great. It's probably my number one out of MGP altogether so far. I have to say a couple of buts. First of all, I thought her styling, I wasn't mad on the styling. It had a little bit of Harley Quinn vibes. It was like this black-green cut in 4, green, black. Suit, it was slightly androgynous, I would suppose, with a t-shirt on underneath. It was a little bit grungy, and then she had her hairstyle, which I think ages her a lot. It really does remind me of the Addams Family. This not even a white line, it's kind of like a slightly yellow dye job on the front. So I wasn't mad on the staging, but really that's quite superficial. At the end of the day, her actual performance was very good. She had really good chemistry with the camel. She looked very committed. She looked confident. She hit all the notes. Some other small things for me in the production of the song, nothing to do with Free. The production is, I feel there's so much potential in the song. I feel like it's Ulrika Bandstorp or whatever the lady was from cancelled year, misery year, 2019. Attention. I feel this is a song that Ulrika would have come back for. It really does feel like Attention Part 2, not a lesser version of Attention. Let me clarify. In its current form, it's a lesser form of Attention. If it had a revamp, it would be equal with Attention. It doesn't crescendo enough. There's not enough of a build-up and a whirlwind, and I'm hoping for a flurry at the end. And I do know I talk about this a lot of my songs, but I feel like this is a song where a dramatic ending really does feel natural. The song's called Dangerous. It makes sense that it builds up into this thing. They bring in this gorgeous horn at the start of the second verse, and you never hear it again. I don't get it. Why is that not building into the end? Why is the piano not building? Why don't they have some ad-libs? Take advantage of the backing track. Have her ad-libbing with herself. I want more flurry and build, and when it gets that really great final chorus, it's quite short, and I almost want to double to triple the length, cut off something a little bit early, and have that longer, big build-up that's really fantastic at the end. So really, I'm giving these... Oh, I have to really emphasize, I really, really like this song, but I'm like, so much potential that's just been a little bit wasted because I just don't feel the production of the song was fully finished. Now, that could come in a rebound in the future, but then again, it's going to be competitive in this final, so I don't know. But look, very, very largely positive. In terms of her staging concepts, you had these girls with like violins in the background doing these like contortionist poses. Very interesting to me that it was a slower song, but they still came with an interesting concept, showing that just because you've got a slow song or ballad, it doesn't give you an excuse to stand there on your own with a wind machine. You can come up with something a little bit extra to add in. I love the way they were kind of doing these contortionist movements. It's kind of like Christina Aguilera in Fighter, where she had the women who were walking on the needles. Yeah, just like that. And the piano, the staging was just really, the staging concept was just interesting. It looked like a real ready-to-go performance, other than I would just change a couple of the styling things. The mic was largely perfect. There were a couple of times when her distance on the mic was a little bit wrong. She'll be able to watch the show back and see those. I like that the piano went on fire for no particular reason. That seemed to be the theme of the episode. Lily had her fire heart that she snoozed through, and Farida had her fire piano. We just kind of like cut to this piano, and I was like, okay, fine. The piano's on fire. The song's called Dangerous. I can live with that. But yeah, my main takeaway was that she looked comfortable in this genre. It looked natural to her, whereas this was a good contrast to Lily. He just looked awkward. Okay, so Farida was up against Daniel. Daniel was singing our first Norwegian song, I think, of the competition. This just looked like an absolute rip-off of Melfest. It looked like Anton Ewald. It looked like Daniel Lindgren was his name, with all the lights. That was straight from... I can't remember the name of his song, We Are Tomorrow or something, where he had the green lights. It just looked like they'd gotten loads and loads of Melfest ideas, shaken them up in a box, and picked out the first three, and like, okay, this is what you're going to do. Even the tuxedos looked like that guy who automatically qualified 2 years ago, that kind of like slightly fuchsia red. The whole thing was just a mishmash of rehashed ideas. The choreography it looked out of time. The dancers looked competent, but it looked like they were constantly 1/8 behind. I just felt like the choreography just wasn't good, and that was distracting as well. I actually thought that he sold it more than the studio version I listened to. I liked it more than I did. I felt like there was a flatness to the studio version, and he gave her more undulations. So actually, I think he was doing a better job. I think he was dragged down by some really slightly sloppy staging. In any case, he lost to Farida, and then Farida went it through to the Guldul, and she got the win, and I'm pretty happy about that. I think that Farida was the best song out of the four, but quite a large shot. It's going to be interesting though, because there is a definite comparison between her and Elsie Bay. I haven't put my Elsie Bay video up because I fucked it up. The first time I listened to it was an upload of her performance on thing, and the audio was wrong. And I didn't realize until a minute in, so it kind of took away some spot. I'm trying to work out what I'm going to do, but I will put up my LCB reaction eventually. But there's definitely a conflict here in terms of these guys are taking votes off each other, and I haven't come to Subwoolfer yet. I'm very excited about that in the next semi-final. But if you have these three songs, assuming that these three are in the mix, those two could be potentially conflicting with each other. Speaking of people who are in the finals, our automatic qualifier was, I can't remember his name, the guy from A1, Christian Ingebrigtsen. Look, I like him. I thought A1 had a couple of hits. I thought they were quite a cheesy British Norwegian boy band in the 90s, early noughties. Largely naff, like 90% plus naff. But look, I like him. He wrote Attention, this is his redemption arc, that he gets to come back and sing his own song. He mentioned Elton John in his intro. I got Elton John vibes of this. It was a little bit like Elton John writing another song for the Aladdin soundtrack. It's very, very Aladdin. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The soundtrack to Aladdin and the Lion Kings were very good, but it had that slightly Disney, slightly Broadway film quality to it. I was able to sit through it, no problem. Nothing particularly happened in the staging. He was on the piano. The piano didn't go on fire. Maybe that would have helped. Yeah, it was fine. It was just a lot of fine, and I don't begrudge him being in the final, because I think if he was in this semi-final, Farida would have beaten him. I think that's quite clear. I think he probably would have come second though. Maybe second, maybe third behind. I don't know. Yeah, I think he would have come second. So I don't begrudge him being in the final, and whatever. He got dicked over by COVID big time. He was robbed of a top 10 Eurovision, which I think is a big deal for a songwriter who is quite involved in Eurovision. So those were the 5 songs, 4 competitors, and 1 unmarked qualifier in semi-final number 2 of Melodi Grand Prix. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Who did you like? What did you think of Farida? Did you like her hair? Did you like her outfit? Or am I just being too picky? Let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.